I'm part of the LGBTQ community, and my pronouns are they, them, as represented here. But is this the new normal? Have you ever asked yourself this question? I mean, it's pretty hard when there's so many big conflicts, debates about preferred pronouns and sexualities and genders. People in my Berkeley school are very accepting of me as a new-choice classmate, student, and friend, and they don't see me any differently. But I know that's not true in all places. In some places, schools are asking for preferred pronouns, but in other places, parents are protesting for LGBTQ plus education. If anything, there's been an increase in categorization between those who are pro-queer and those that believe queerness should never exist. The questions that concern me and my future are, what's next for everyone else, and will it have a positive outcome? How will people discriminate against others in the future, and what in the world would that look like? What will society's categories be in the future, and how do I prepare myself? How will people historically discriminated against for gender try to fit in now? Should a queer person teach their own history, her story, or their story? And if so, should it be included in the standard curriculum? The community can breathe easily for now, but unfortunately, in the last administration's 4 years, made many attacks on the LGBTQ plus community by promoting discriminatory laws. These actions harmed others in several scenarios, such as immigration, employment, education, healthcare, and many other examples. And these have affected the queer people of color the most. Luckily, I do not feel any less safe because I'm well supported by my family and friends and community. But that doesn't mean I haven't seen discrimination before. This summer, a kid who is my age said that he was anti-gay because he was Christian. And in the Bible it states, quote, "A man cannot sleep in the same bed as another man," end quote. As this example states, some people are so devoted to their religion that they will discriminate against others. I believe that people should use their book, but not as a weapon. I see a future where people are much more polarized around gender and sexual orientation. It's hard not to feel offended and defensive when you're around someone who doesn't like who you fundamentally are. It makes me feel horrible when I've experienced these intolerances. What will gender categories look like in the future? I would not like a situation where queer people start a hierarchy coming from pity. Yet what we see is too much a heteronormative hierarchy coming from the same thing. How can we build a society where there are no gender hierarchies? What will that look like? Can we convince Christian right that we are all related, whether it's from the Adam and Eve stories of the first humans on the planet, or if it's from Prometheus and Epimetheus, who created humans and animals? Can we convince them that we're all somehow related and are all born the same way? Many different cultures and languages have certain nouns for certain objects. For example, in French, for the term a cat, we use un chat, which identifies the cat as male. And it's the same in Spanish. In English, sometimes we incorrectly give gender to vehicles, such as calling the car her. But there are languages, like Turkish, that don't have any of these pronouns. Other languages have been starting to use those ideas and change more recently. But there has been a lot of pushback in these languages. In French, they use the term yel for they, them pronouns, and same in English. I think this is a very big change that needs to happen, because you no longer have to choose one side, but now you can choose your own side. What will the generation gap look like now? The generation gap has always been a problem because people have grown up with ideas that have been implanted into their heads. What makes it easy to change is when we don't give any extra education of what they're supposed to be, or give a broad education of what they can be. I believe that in the future, there won't be any more generation gap, because those who have experienced it haven't enjoyed it as well. I believe that LGBTQ plus a queer person should be able to teach their own history, her story, or their story, and it should be inserted into the curriculum. I believe this because the person can relate to their history problems more directly, and that gives a deeper understanding of how it affected the people. Also, I have not learned much about LGBTQ supremacy since it hasn't been included in my curriculum. What are some solutions? One solution might be when someone reveals their gender, pronouns, or sexuality, it shouldn't be, oh, whatever, but it should be instead, congrats for figuring yourself out. This shows that you're truly supportive of who they are and still love them the way they are. Another solution is to notice their differences, but not to treat them differently. Just because your friend is different from who you are doesn't mean they have to be treated differently. But they still might need your approval if you're going to tell someone who their person. But you also need to use their pronouns that they need. The last one we can discuss is not to shower them in questions and not to pressure them. Sometimes when we shower people with questions like, who do you like, or what are your pronouns if you're gay, it can sometimes feel uncomfortable when you're asking these questions and makes people feel like they don't want to answer. It also feels like people are invading your space bubble. I really hope this helps you find out what's next in terms of the LGBTQ society.